Howdy from Texas. This is Heath Hipple with Bugs Fishing, and today we're going to tie a Hot Head Bugg. It's our most popular, best-selling #1 Bonefish Jig, and here we go. We're going to be tying it on the 1/8 ounce Bugs Bonefish Jig head, and I'm going to give you some tips about tying it on the other sizes as well. We're going to get it in the vise using 210 Denier thread, and we're tying the natural color, which is the best seller. Here we go. So we're gonna start the thread on the collar, got a little excess that we'll cut. All right, so now we're gonna bring it onto the hook shank here. We're going to take the thread to where it's even with the tip of the barb. You can see that right there. It's even with the tip of the barb. All right, half hitch. Oops. This is where a bodkin comes in handy. Make sure, okay, we're good. All right, so we're going to tie in the eyes. These are called easy shrimp eyes. I love these things. It's so much easier than the way I used to tie with 2 separate eyes. It's one single post. They're even, they're very durable. Can't say enough good things about these. These have a section with ridges and then a smooth section. I'm going to put the ridges down. My idea is that it will help the post bite onto the thread and keep it in place. And so I'm going to make loose thread wraps all the way, not loose, but not terribly tight, all the way up to the end of my thread. And now what I want to do, I want to make sure that it's even before I tie in the thick thread wraps. And so that looks really close. So that's good. So I'm going to tie a 3 or 4 turn whip finish knot here so I can hold the easy shrimp eyes in place. All right. Next, we're going to tie in some feelers, and I have some UV tan Krystal Flash. And what you'll do, you'll cut off one piece at the tie, and then fold it in half, and you're going to tie it in right here, kind of at the end. You're going to tie it in at the end of the post and make thread wraps all the way up to where you stopped your thread wraps for the eyes. All right, then bring your thread back here and whip finish. All right, now we're gonna put an accent piece of Zonker right there below the eyes, and I'm gonna cut just a really small piece. It's probably 1/4 inch. All right. And I'm going to tie that in just like so, right here at the collar. And I'm holding it in place with my left thumb and forefinger. And I'm putting those thread wraps, and I'm keeping it in the middle, and I'm putting thread wraps all the way towards the end. Tie that in. All right. So you see how that accent piece of rabbit, it goes just beyond the eyes. All right, so the body material on this is Krystal Flash Chenille. And so I have a piece, 5-6 inches long. and I'm going to tie it in on top right here. And again, I'm taking it right to the end of my thread wraps. Put that in place, and now I want to move my thread towards the end of that piece of rabbit. All right, now we're going to tie in the legs. I've got a a tab. Why did I say hank? A tab, and I'm pulling 2 off. Cutting the tips to kind of release them, and now I'm folding them in half. Okay, fold in half, cut them. So now I have four pieces. Okay, so I'm taking a piece, I'm doubling it over. Okay, and I'm going to tie this in right here. And as the shrimp is sitting on the bottom, I want the legs to kind of be parallel and kind of to go down like that. Okay, so I'm going to start on this side, and I'm holding them, double them over, and I'm holding them so they kind of point in the direction that I want them to go when the lure is sitting on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to turn it over, tie it in tie another leg. I'm going to double over just like before. Tie it in right here. See how those are both going down? Okay. Half hitch. Hold those in place. All right. Now I'm going to move my thread right here in front of the collar. Half hitch. Now we're going to tie in the weed guard, and we're going to use a single post 25-pound mason. Does not have to be a long piece. So I cut one piece. That's even too long. I know we're going to have to trim it, but this is what I do. So I hold it here. And I'm going to make 3 or 4 thread wraps. Holding it in place. All right. Now, the tricky part here is to getting it in the middle of that collar. And so those thread wraps, those four thread wraps that you made, they're just going to hold it there and let you make little adjustments as you put more thread wraps on going towards the head and tighten the thread. And so you want to keep that in place. You want to have it where you want it to go. Okay, we're really close. Have it where you want it to go, and you're going to make a whip finish knot here. And I haven't really tightened up too much yet, so I'm going to get it in the spot where I want it to go, and then I'm going to pull tight on it. Okay? I'm going to do one more, a little bit closer to the head. It's still kind of off there, but we'll be able to make other adjustments before. Okay. So if you see that right there, it's essentially on top. It's pretty much in the middle. But this ridge right here in the head makes it hard to put tight thread wraps right here and keep it in the middle. But we don't have to worry about that right now. Okay. So bring your thread to the middle. When I say middle, like between the collar and the head. And then we're going to tie in our other 2 sets of legs. So again, take a piece, fold it in half. I want them to go down. So there's one side. All right. Oops. Okay. The legs are tied in. Okay. All right, now we're gonna pull the back legs back and do a loose thread wrap here. Same thing with the pair of legs on the other side. This is to keep them out of the way as we palmer that Krystal Flash. Then we're going to do the front legs each side. All right, this is shrimp imitation. Shrimp are generally thicker, closer to the head, and so we're going to keep that in mind as we wrap this Krystal Flash. So we're going to do 2 wraps of this Krystal Flash in front of that first set of legs. We're going to release them. Okay. And we're going to do 2. Oops, one came loose there. We're going to do 2 more wraps behind the legs and still in front of that collar. Okay. And so those legs are in good shape. Now we're going to move Krystal Flash on this side of the collar, and we're going to release the legs, the back set, and we're kind of going to, as we make these final wraps, we're going to kind of make sure that these legs are separated right here and go in the general way we want them to go. All right. So now we're going to tie off that Krystal Flash. Oops. With about 3 or 4 wraps of thread. And we did that so you can cut the Krystal Flash and it won't unravel on you. Okay? So now I'm going to tie off that Krystal Flash. Now it's tied off. All right. So you see how the pieces of Krystal Flash, they get pretty close to the hook point here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of give it a flat top right there. And I want to preserve the hook gap as before we tie in our rabbit, the top. And so I'm just going to keep my like I said, I'm just giving it a flat top. This is also a good reason to for your legs to go down. It makes it easier to do this step. Okay, now you can see how it's flat right here. Okay, so the top piece of rabbit is a Magnum. I like to use barred Magnum. It looks good, it looks realistic, and what you're going to do, you're going to take an X-Acto knife and you're going to start it. And so what I did, I cut the point into a tip, and then I'm going to make a cut starting right here, and it's going to need to go a little bit further down. Okay, just like that. I'm going to start it here, take it out of the vise. Put it back in. Okay. You cut that longer slit so you can kind of make adjustments, because you want it to come right there up against the head. And just like we always do when we're tying in rabbit, we're going to make those tight thread wraps. And we're going to leave a little tag. Okay, so I just did a whip finish knot, and I'm not going to pull it tight quite yet. I want to show y'all. There's that tag I'm talking about. I think this will keep it from pulling out. And now, before I tighten down on that knot, I'm going to move this weed guard piece closer to where I want it to end up. And now I'm going to pull down tight on those thread wraps. All right. So now I'm going to cover, I'm going to remove my thread here, and I'm going to cover the rest of that rabbit with thread, and I'm going to do a half hitch behind, oops, there we go, behind the weed guard piece, tied up against that head. And again, I'm going to move that weed guard piece towards the middle, and then I'm going to bend it with my thumb, just like that. And I'm going to start, bending it, and I'm going to trim it. It's too long. All right. So I'm going to bend it towards the hook point, and I'm going to start making my thread wraps. Oops. Back off a little bit. All right. So that's where I want the weed guard to go. I want it to point towards the hook point. Now I'm gonna make my final whip finish knot, pull it tight, cut, and finish with hard as whole head cement. All right. So here it is. That's the Hot Head Bugg. A really effective jig for bonefish. Redfish will eat it, speckled trout will eat it, anything that eat a small shrimp will eat it. It's tied on the bonefish jig head, so it'll always land hook point up like that. And it's tied with easy shrimp eyes, just like the name sounds. Easy, effective. I love those things. So I hope you'll try to tie one and then go put it in front of a fish. Catch you later.